All right, we are going to begin a new chapter, chapter 39. It's 43 verses, so it's going to be long-winded. If the reading, if you're old and headed toward decrepitude, you may have to find yourself a place to sit some way through this. I'm not even going to attempt to stand. I can't. I'm tethered. But anyway, please stand and cover yourself for the reading of our chapter. All right, here we go. Reading from Shemot, which is also known as Exodus chapter 39. Begin with verse 1. Umin ha-techelet v'ha'ar gaman beto la'at ha-shani asu vigdei serad lesharet ba'kodesh va'ya'asu et bigdei ha-kodesh asher la'aharon ka-asher Ziba Yahweh et Moshe. Vaya'as et ha'ephod zahav techelet ve'argaman ve'tolaat shani ve'shesh mashezar, not Shazam, sorry, couldn't help myself. Vaya'rafu et pachei hazahav ve'kizet פתילים לעשות בתוך התכלת ובתוך הארגמן ובתוך תולעת השני ובתוך השש מעשה חושב. כתפות עשו לא חוברות על שני כתזותיו חובר. וחשב פודתו אשר עליו ממנו הוא כמעושהו זהב תכלת בארגמן ותולעת שני ושש משזר כאשר זיווה יהווה את משה. ויעשו את עיני השוהם מוסבות משבצות זהב מפותחות פיתוחי חותם על שמות בני ישראל וישם אותם על כיפות האפוד אבני זיכרון לבני ישראל כאשר זיווה יהווה את משה. ויעש את החושן מעשה חושב כמעשה אפוד זהב תכלת וארגמן ותולעת שני ושש משזר רבוע היה כפול עשו את החושן זרת ארכו וזרת רחבו כפול. וימלאו בו 4 טורי אבן טור אודם פיתה וברקת הטור האחד והטור השני נופך ספיר ויהלום והטור השלישי לשם שבו בהחלמה והטור הרביעי תרשיש שוהם וישפה מוסבות משבצות זהב במילאו אותם והאבנים על שמות בני ישראל הנה 12 על שמתם פיתוחי חותם איש על שמו לשנם 10 שבט ויעשו על החושן שרות גבלות מעשה אבות זהב טהור ויעשו שתי משבצות zahav ushite tabot zahav vayitnu et shite ha tabaot al shene ketzot hachoshen vayitnu shite ha'avotot ha-zahav al-shite ha-tabaot al-ketzot ha-choshen ve'et shite ketzot shite ha-avotot natnu al-shite hamish bezot vayitnum al-kitfot ha-ephod el-mul panav Vaya'asu zete tabot zahav vayasimu al shnei ketzot hachoshen al sifato asher el eber ha'ephod baita. Vaya'asu shete tabot zahav vayitnum al shete chitfot ha'ephod mi lemata mi mul panav leumat mechbarto mi ma'al lecheshev ha'ephod va yirkesu et ha'choshen mita be'otaiv el tabot ha'ephod bi fitil techelet liyot al cheshev ha'ephod velo yizach ha'choshen me'al ha'ephod ka'asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe. Vaya'as et me'il ha'ephod ma'aseh oreg ke'lil techelet. Ufi me'il betocho kepi tachra shafa lepiv saviv lo yikare'ah. Vaya'asu al shulei ha-me'il rimotne techelet ve'argaman ve'tola'at shani ma-shezar vaya'asu fa'amone zahav tahor vayitnu et ha-pa'amonim betoch ha-rimonim al shulei. Ha-me'il saviv betoch ha-rimonim pa'amon ve'rimon al shulei ha-me'il saviv lesharet ka'asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe. Vaya'asu et ha'katenot shesh ma'aseh oreg le'aharon ulevanayv ve'et hamitznefet shesh ve'et pa'arei ha'migbaot shesh ve'et michnesei habad shesh mashazar ve'et ha'avnet shesh mashazar techelet ve'argaman ve'tola'at shani ma'aseh rokem ka'asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe. Ve'ya'asu et zitz nezer hakodesh zav tahor ve'yichtevu alav michtav pituchei hatom kodesh la Yahweh. Vayitnu alav petil techelet la tet al hamitz nefet mil mala ka'asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe. Vetechel kol avodat mishkan ohel moed vaya'asu b'nei Yisrael kechol asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe ken asu. Vayivi'u et ha-mishkan el Moshe et ha-ohel ve'et kol kelaiv kerasaiv ve'richaiv ve'amudaiv va'adanaiv ve'et michse orot ha'elim ha'me'adamim ve'et michse orot ha'techashim ve'et parochet moshach et Aaron ha-edut ve'et vadai ve'et hakaporet mercy seat. Sorry about that. Et ha-shulchan et kol kelai ve'et lechem ha-panim et ha-menorah ha-tehora et neroteha nerot ha-ma'araha ve'et kol keleha ve'et shemen ha-ma'or ve'et mizbach ha-zahav ve'et shemen ha-mishcha ve'et ketoret ha-samim ve'et masach petach ha-ohel et mizbach ha-nechoshet ve'et micha bar ha-nechoshet asher lo et badai ve'et kol kelai et ha-kiyor ve'et kano et kal'e ha-chazer et amudaha ve'et adaneha. Yeah, that's amudeha ve'et adaneha ve'et hamasach lesha'ar he ha-zer et metarai ve'tedoteha ve'et kol kelei avodat ha-mishkan le'ohel moed et bigdei ha-serad le'sharet ba-kodesh et bigdei ha-kodesh le'haron ha-kohen ve'et bigdei banav le'chahen kechol asher ziva Yahweh et Moshe ken asu b'nei Yisrael et kol ha'avodah vayar Moshe et kol ha'lacham v'hinei asu ota ka'asher ziva Yahweh ken asu vayevarech otam Moshe. All right, you may be seated. I may have read that a little faster than normal, but wow, that was a long one. Oh, someone's saying recognize a lot of those words, huh? Could you tell the difference between the word for Aaron and the word for ark? They sound like almost the same word. They are not. All right, they come back together here. Well, this chapter is broken up incorrectly, as I pointed out in the last one. In most English Bibles, verse 1 was added to the end of the previous verse, if you'll recall. Thus, verse 2 here is actually verse 1. But I'm going to keep the numbers the way they are. Kasuto pointed out that verses 2 through 21 speak of the ephod. You hear people say ephod these days. It's ephod. And the pooch. No one going to catch that? The pouch. I'm just kidding. And that we are dealing with things. Okay, he said, speak of the ephod and the pooch. I'm now want to say pooch, the pouch. And that I said it on purpose the first time. I didn't do it on purpose that time. The ephod and the pouch. And that we are dealing with things for which have already been covered. He also pointed out that we see in this chapter changes in form which do not constitute changes in meaning. He also pointed out that here we see the execution of the work, but are, for the most part, not given the reason or the how of it. It's just all about the execution. And that's the way the last verse or chapter was as well. So we begin with verse 2, which in this case would literally be 1, but we're just going to skip 1 since we did it last time and call it 2. Literally in English it would say, and he made the ephod gold, violet, and purple, and scarlet, crimson, and linen from twisted. Yeah. Well, we've had all these words before, every last one of them, because earlier it's telling us this is what you're going to make it of, and here they're saying that's what he did. So we'll just go on to the comparisons here. The translation here would be, and he made the ephod of gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine linen. Because remember the word, they say twisted linen, and we would say fine linen. It can be compared to chapter 28, verse 6, where it said, and they shall make the ephod of gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine linen. But in chapter 28, verse 6, it also said, made from the imagination. Now, they didn't figure they needed to say that here because it had already been said, right? So, since by now you're supposed to know these things, they didn't repeat themselves. That doesn't make changes. There are no bullet points for us to use here. There's no some new secret here. No, it's just the way they wrote back then. Cassuto wrote the following. In the list given in verse 4, the pouch, which is the most important article, is mentioned first, and thereafter the ephod. But now, in describing how they were to be made, it is necessary to give precedence to the ephod, since it forms the background to the pouch. Hence, our passage speaks first of the ephod, then of the pouch, and thereafter of the manner in which the pouch was to be attached to the ephod. I completely disagree. I think it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I think it just got written one way once and another way another time, and it doesn't make any difference. But the reason why Cassuto says it is because when he compares this to the epic poetry found in Mesopotamia, that they did all this for these reasons, or at least that's what they assume are the reasons. Nobody actually knows because there is no grammar book that tells us, right? So these are literally just guesses. Now, if you're going to stick with anybody, you can stick with this guy, with Cassuto, and you'll probably do fine. I'm disagreeing just because I just don't think it's important. Cassuto also wrote, it was to be made like the curtains of the tabernacle, of gold, deep violet, dark red, scarlet wool, and of fine twined linen, he said. The work of the designer, and in accordance with the original signification of the word, it was to be girt about the, I guess it was supposed to be loins of the priest. I have limbs. Not to cover the chest as many thought. He thinks this goes lower, and we spoke about that back in chapter 28, I think. And it was to hang down in front, whilst its two ends were joined together at the back. And I do agree with him there. I think he's right about this. And a lot of other professors have come to realize this in recent times, and by recent I mean in the last 100 years. All right, so verse 3. Very literally in English it would be, and he beat they plates the gold and cut threads to make in midst the purple and in midst the blue and in midst the purple and midst scarlet, the crimson, and in midst the linen did devise. Again, we've already had this. I'm going to be doing this throughout the whole chapter because I don't see any reason to go over this word by word since I literally have already done this. Because only the form changes, the meaning doesn't, the words don't, for that matter. We've gone from past tense or from future tense to past tense, basically. So there's really, I don't see any reason for it. So, but if you want to, you can go back to chapter 28 and there I took you through it word by word. All right, so my translation of verse 3, and they beat the plates of gold and cut threads to work in the midst of the blue, purple, scarlet, crimson, and linen, the work of an artist. In 28:15, it said, and they shall make the breastplate of justice. There they called it the breastplate of justice. Made from imagination, you shall make an ephod of gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine linen. And then, of course, they say, you shall make it. Very customary in, not just in Old Hebrew, but also in Mesopotamia. These are two things that are very similar. All right, I have a note here. I've yet to find anyone who didn't write that the threads were made from the gold plates, but the text says no such thing. The threads could have been made from anything. They could have been made from leather. They could have been made from the purple and the scarlet and all that other stuff. It doesn't say that they were made from the beaten gold. I don't think that would work. If you beat out gold real thin and then you make threads from it and you try to roll them up and tie something together and things like that, I don't think it's going to hold together. Have you ever had a golden ring deform on your finger? Just saying. Donna's saying that it could be that if they did use the gold, it could have been woven in with the other threads. I still say that the gold would break. But woven in through the threads, it would look good. I don't buy it. I still think the gold would break. It's just too weak. But anyway, it could be. I mean, somebody ought to donate a whole bunch of gold and let us try it out. Just saying. All right, verse 4. Shoulders made they to he unite upon two ends his join. Get on down here. All right, so my translation, they made shoulders to join it, to unite its two ends. Now in 27:7 it said, both shoulders will be joined to it, speaking of the ephod, of course, and united to its two ends. Now Kasuda wrote the following, these shoulder pieces would come up over the priest's shoulder, and then reversing the process would come down over his chest and would be attached below to the band of the ephod. I think it's some way. If you watch the modern Thor movie and watch the one where he gets kicked out of his homeland and he has no power anymore and all that, and when he gets his power back, he puts his outfit on, and the girl says, is this what you normally look like? And he says, more or less. And she says, it's a good look. Look at that and you'll get some idea. Just without the cape. I'm just saying. All right, verse 5. And belt ephod, or ephod. I wonder if the Hebrew actually wrote it that way. I have ephod. I'm not sure that's right. And belt ephod he, that upon him from us he, which also could mean it, as work it, gold, violet, and purple, and scarlet, crimson, and linen, from twisted as that commanded Yahweh Moshe. Again, this is a repeat. And it's a repeat of something we've just said in this very chapter. This is going to happen a lot because this is the big sum up. In Hebrew, you don't want to sum up because there's too much. In English, we sum up because there's too much. Do y'all get it? If there's too much to say, we sum it up. In Hebrew, if you sum it up, that's way too much to say. I'm just throwing that out. Y'all get it yet? No one's laughing but me. Okay. My translation, and the belt of the ephod that is on him is the same, because we know it should say is the same, because in Hebrew it literally says from us he. Okay, that's how they would say the same thing as we would say it is the same. All right, so the ephod that is on him is the same according to its work, gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine twisted linen, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. Now, if we look at 28:8, it says, and the belt of the ephod, which is on him, according to its work, it will be the same. And in this case, it said, from us he will be. So it's the more fuller form of that same idiom. But I'm not even sure I should call that an idiom. It's just the way they said it as opposed to the way we say it. But that's what it means. Gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine twisted linen. So Kunsudo wrote the girdle, which is a belt. That's just what they used to call it back in the day. The girdle of the ephod that attaches it to the priest's body, to wit, the upper border of the ephod, which is thicker and stronger than the rest of the garment, and is fastened at the back by means of clasp or some similar device. Again, there are some things that we just cannot know because there just wasn't enough information given. All right, verse 6. And made they stones the onyx from turning embroidered things, gold from engraved carvings, seal upon names, children Yisrael. So, see, I have all of this. I never know from one week to the other how much information I'm going to dig into as I go. So I have all of the information there. That's why I have to sometimes scroll so far because I leave nothing out just in case something strikes my fancy and I want to take you guys through something. In this case, I've taken you through it so many times that there's not a lot of point in it. All right, so my translation, and they placed the onyx stones in round. It says from turning, literally in Hebrew. That's in round embroidered things. So from turning embroidered things, what they mean is in round settings. And then it goes on, of gold, in round settings of gold. A carved seal engraved with the names of the children of Yisrael. Right? So we can compare that to 28:9. You shall take 2 onyx stones and you will engrave on them the names of the children of Israel. Now 28:11 it says, work of an engraver of stone. You shall engrave with the carvings of a seal. You shall engrave the names of the children of Israel on the 2 stones. You shall set them in plated gold. Of the words they placed or they made or they worked. Even Ezra said that the word made is here used in the sense of arranged. I must have to agree with him on that. Engraved with the carvings. Rashi pointed out that the names had to be cut into the stones. Of the words set them. Rashi and Saadia wrote that set them, the word set them, meant that the stones were to be surrounded with gold. Onkelos rendered set them as insert them, since jewelers insert stones into settings. I don't honestly know if that's the way it was done back then. I mean, that's the question that strikes my mind when I'm looking at what the Drauzina Wagner version of Onkelos says that's the way jewelers did it. Well, is that really the way jewelers did it, 4,000 and 5,000 years ago, or is that the way they do it today and we're shoving something into a time period that doesn't exist? I would think Rashi might be closer to right, because if in his time they were still surrounding the whole thing and it wasn't like a 3-pronged setting, as Onkelos is essentially saying, then who knows? You'd have to know something about the history of jewelry. How far back do 3-pronged things go, and how did they set things that far back? There is jewelry that far back that we can look at and would be able to know, but I have never studied that, so I don't know. I'm just saying I would question some of those things, because it sounds more like we're taking things from one time period and shoving them back into another, which is never a good thing to do. All right, verse 7. And he put with them upon shoulders the ephod, stones remembrance to children Yisrael as that commanded Yahweh Moshe. Right? So they did what they were told. Guess when God's leading the way, you probably should do what he said. Yes. But that's not like the name. I was just asked if the word Ziva is commanded. Yes, but that's not like the name Ziva, like Ziva David in the TV series. That's deer or doe or something like that. Doe, female, NCISAJ. All right, just writing a new song. Okay, so my translation. And he set the memorial stones for the children of Israel on the shoulders of the ephod, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. All right, so they did what they were told. In 28:12 it said, "And you shall set the two stones on the shoulders of the ephod, memorial stones for the children of Israel, and Aharon will bear their names in the presence of Yahweh on his two shoulders for a memorial." Of the word memorial, or for a memorial, Rashi actually believed that God needed these two stones to remind him of the righteousness of our forefathers. First off, what righteousness? Isn't this the guy that built a cow? I'm just saying. Anyway, Rashi said some strange things from time to time. He gets a few things right here and there, but I just have to say that'd be nice. Onkelos rejected any notion that God could forget anything. I'm with Onkelos on that one. Kasuto wrote, "A memorial and symbol that the priest ministers in the name of the tribe of Israel." A memorial and a symbol that the priest ministers in the name of the tribes of... Oh, I see what he's saying. He's saying that's basically stands for the fact that that priest is doing this, on behalf of the children of Israel. I would have to agree with Kasuto. I think that's more likely the reason, but truthfully, we don't know because it doesn't say why. It just says that that's what he's supposed to do. All right, verse 8. "And he made the breastplate, did devise as work ephod, gold, violet, and purple, and scarlet, crimson, and linen from twisted." And again, we've already said most of this today, more than once. So I'm going to skip on down to the actual translation, see if there's anything there we can come up with. Here's my translation. "And he made the breastplate, made from imagination, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen." So there's no way we could ever know what this thing looked like, because the original one did not exist during the first temple period, or the second temple period. So even if Josephus had actually written something about it, describing it, he would not be describing this one. He would be describing the second one, or third or fourth. Who knows how many times they actually made it. You really can't compare it to the Bible, because there's no way to know that those are the only times that they ever did this. I'm just throwing that out there, because I can just hear the emails now. I'm just saying. We don't know what it looks like. It was made from someone's imagination. Someone dreamed it up. It was not God telling them every little last detail. God wasn't doing that. He was leaving that up to the artist's imagination. The Hebrew text normally says Meshazar Shesh. Here it says Shesh Mashazar. The meaning does not change just because the words are in a different order. In Hebrew, they have a tendency to do things in a certain order, but the truth is, it doesn't really matter. It never did. It gets changed back and forth all the time throughout the different texts. All right, in 28:15, it said, well, I translated it to say, "And you shall make the breastplate of justice, made from imagination. You shall make an ephod of gold, violet, purple, scarlet, crimson, and fine twisted linen. You shall make it." Again, I've already given you this very translation already, because we're just repeating ourselves. But of the words breastplate of justice, Rashi and the Babylonian Talmud in Zevachim 88b. Does anyone remember what Zevachim is? They both say that it is called the breastplate of justice because it atones for. The breastplate atones for, or perhaps clarifies poor judgment. This is, of course, wrong, since blood sacrifices make atonements. I don't know, these guys sometimes said things that I don't know if they were thinking something else and just didn't give us enough information, or if they just didn't know their Bible very well. Anyway, verse 9, it starts off with the word for the number 4, which, remember, that's idiomatic for square. If its 4 sides are all equal, it's a square. That's how they just gave you the number 4. So it's 4 was doubled, made they. The breastplate span length it, and span width it doubled. And again, something that we've already gone over, not today, but probably in chapter 28. We'll see. Yeah, it was. My translation: the breastplate was square, and they doubled it. The span of its length and the span of its width doubled. In 28:16, it said, it will be square, doubled. The span of the length of it and the span of the width of it. Of the word doubled, Rashi and even Ezra said that it was square after it was folded over, i.e. after it was doubled. So they think that it was a rectangle that when you folded it became a square. So you had, because it was doubled over. Rashbam said that it formed a pocket to keep the urim and the tumim. Remember, those are the 2 stones that you throw on the ground and somehow you know what God wants. Anyway, however, folded over leaves 3 open sides. Would the 2 stones not just fall out? I'm just throwing that out there. Kasuda wrote, in the style of the tabernacle curtains and the ephod, it shall be square, doubled. That is, square when it is doubled. In other words, he's reading Rashi and agrees. A span its length and a span its breadth after it is folded double. By being doubled, it will form a kind of pocket to hold the 2 stones from verse 30. Again, how? How? Let me give you an example. It's something that I could use here. So I take this thing, right? I better fold it up once or twice so that it'll turn out to be a square. All right, let's say that's just one piece, right? It's a rectangle. So now I'm going to fold it in half, and now I have a square. So even if I turn it this way, if I drop 2 stones in there, are they not just going to fall out the sides? It makes no sense. No sense at all. But tradition. Let's follow tradition. Anywho, verse 10. And he filled they in it 4 rows, stones, row ruby, topaz, and an emerald, the row, the one. Okay. I'm going to have to remind you of this, but remember when we started going through these stones, the problem that I had with the stones is like the word aven. I have a grandson named Evan. It's the same word in Hebrew. The pronunciation of the vowel sound different does not change the meaning of the word. It's a stone, right? And so they're going to talk about these different stones. And it says that tur, which is row. So you got this row, and in the first one you have odem. Now they say it's a ruby, a gem of red color, perhaps ruby garnet. Here's the problem. Every stone, I'm talking about, it doesn't make any difference if it's a diamond, it's a ruby, it's a sapphire, it's a whatever. It makes no difference. They all come in every single color. Every color, even diamonds. So try to take these very obscure words and attach them to a specific stone is utterly impossible. We don't know. We don't know the color, and we don't know what type of stone. So they're going off of, Odem is from Adam. You hear Odem, Adam. It's the same 3 letters. So they assume it's red. So they call it a ruby. Well, you can have a red onyx, you can have a red diamond, you can have a red anything. So that's the problem that I have with trying to narrow these things down. Some of it was narrowed down according to what Josephus, he gave a description of the ephod that existed in his time, but even then, the way he wrote it, we can't be positive of what some of those stones are. Some of them we're fairly positive of because of the way he described it, but most of it not so much. Again, it's more guesswork than anything. So I would think it's more about the color than it is about the stone. I would just throw that out there for fun. My translation, and they filled it with 4 rows of stone. In the first row was a ruby, chrysoberyl, and emerald. In 28:17, I translated it, and the settings in it, settings of stone, 4 rows of stone, a row of ruby, chrysoberyl, and an emerald on the first row. Kasuda wrote, a gold frame containing cavities in each of which it will be possible to set a precious stone. 4 rows of stones, each now containing 3 stones. He also wrote, although the exact identification of each stone is in doubt, our understanding of the subject, at least, is not affected thereby. I think it's greatly affected thereby. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. I don't generally disagree with Kasuda on very many things, but that's one of them I'd say I would wish I could have asked him, but he passed before I discovered him, unfortunately, because I would really have liked to have known him. Anyway, in verse 11, and the row the second, carbuncle, sapphire, and diamond. This one we could guess that sapphire is the right one because sapphire is the word. Sapphire. Yeah, it's a Hebrew word. So probably that's a sapphire. Just throwing that one out. They're basing the third one being a diamond on the Peshitta, by the way. It could be, but again, that's the wrong time period. That would be for the second temple, not the first. Anywho, the translation is, and in the second row, a carbuncle, a sapphire, or a sapphire, and a diamond. In 28, I have, and the second row, carbuncle, sapphire, diamond. So they did exactly what they were told, as far as we know. No, we do know. I'm just saying we don't know what stones they were. We're not even sure the colors on all of them. Just some of the words indicate the color, like I said, but not all of them. And the row the third, I'm not even sure how you pronounce this, Ligure, agate, and amethyst. Again, I don't really know how you pronounce some of these words. They're types of stone. So verse 12, and in the third row was a Ligure, an Agate, and an amethyst. And of course, 28:19, it said, and the third row, jacinth, turquoise, and amethyst, which those are just 2 different words for the original words. In 13, in the row the fourth, beryl, onyx, jasper, surrounded plated gold in settings there, or in their settings is how we would say it. So you have, and in the fourth row, a kyanite, an onyx, and a jasper, surrounded with plated gold in their settings. In 28:20, it said in the fourth row, kyanite, onyx, jasper, from settings of gold, are they in their settings? So again, they all say exactly the same thing, but there's just no way we can be sure about any of it. We can't even be sure about the stuff in the 2nd century, even though Josephus wrote about it. And there's even some stuff in the Talmud about it, but the problem with the Talmud is most of what you read out of that comes out of the Dark Ages. So it's really no help, because there's no part of it written by anyone who was there, because it doesn't start until the late 300s, early 400s. So you're way after the fact. And by then, none of them would have ever seen this stuff, and it would have been them basing it on something they knew from their time, which would be Josephus. So, because Josephus was in the right time period. All right, so in 14, and the stones upon names children Yisrael they to teen, which is 12, upon names them, carvings, seal man upon name he, two, T-O-T-W-O, teen. So it's 412 tribes. I should just put the word for. It's too confusing when you say it that way, isn't it? I don't see anything here that jumps out at me. We have, again, all of this. The whole chapter is a repeat, so we're going to get through it pretty quick. Golly, this was a long one. All right, 14. And the stones according to the names of the children of Israel were 12, their names on the carvings of the seal, each according to the names of the 12 tribes. Now we get each is what was meant, but it literally gave us the Hebrew word for man. But we translated each because that's what they meant. In 28:21 it said, and the stones shall be according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, carvings of a seal. Each, and in this case, instead of saying man, it said the word for one. But again, they meant each, according to its name, there shall be 12 tribes. Of the words according to their names, again, the names of the children of Yisrael, not the tribes of Yisrael. Rashi said the names were to be in the order of seniority. Why? I mean, why? They didn't even have the idea of chronological order in this time period. So Rashi's trying to take something from his time period and shove it back several thousand years. Kasuda wrote, the symbolism of the engraving of the names on the stones of the pouch has the same significance as the engravings of the names on the soham stones of the shoulder pieces of the ephod, which is from verses 9, compared to verse 29 below. The duplication, however, should occasion no surprise, for in such matters repetition is not eschewed. To this day, it is customary in synagogues to depict the tribes in a number of illustrations on windows, lamps, the doors of the Holy Ark, and the like. Moreover, the second set of engravings is not redundant. The names inscribed on the soham stones faced upward and are only before the Lord, and it is not easy for a person standing in front of the priest to read them. To be read easily, the names must be engraved on the upright plane confronting the eyes, like those of the priest's breasts or the breastplate, the stones on the ephod. These are not only before the Lord, but also before men. I like this. I don't know if I actually agree with it, but I do like it. He's saying that you've got them up here on the shoulders, facing up where God can see these names, right? And that would be symbolic, not literal. And then you have the ones that are out here on the chest that face outward where man can see the names. I like the idea of it. I don't think it really means anything, but I do like it. Does that count for anything? All right, we'll probably have time for one or two more. Verse 15, and made they upon the breastplate chains, ends, made wreathen gold pure, or did wreathen gold pure. Made, did, worked. Those are all your same words. Asa, it's a noun of action. It's a deed of men. It's work, which is produced. We got the read and work. Okay, my translation. And they made reed chains on the ends of the breastplate of pure gold. I really have a problem with this part of it. Even if you read, that wouldn't indicate spinning, right, Donna? That's going to be more like braided. Even if you take gold and you make thin strands and you braid it all together, it's not going to be very strong. Um, this is going to be something that's more for looks than for strength. So I would think that there would still have to be leather ties or something like that, leather straps within this to actually make this thing work to hold things together. I just don't think the gold is the way to go. Anyway, if y'all want to donate a bunch of gold and materials, we'll try it. I promise we'll try it. Of course, if I wind up with a helicopter and a helipad, I'm just saying that. Anyway, yeah, that'd look funny on my trailer house, wouldn't it? 28 or 22. 28:22 is where we saw this earlier. And you shall make, you will make. Here they have made, but in 28:22, you shall make on the breastplate wreathen chains at the ends, wreathen work of pure gold. I had some things like this when I was in the military. We wore these wreathen ropes. I don't remember what they stood for. It was something that I had achieved. I don't even remember what it was now, but it was a lot like when I got summa cum laude. They gave me those ropes that I wore. Those were around my neck, though, weren't they, Donna? Yeah, I was thinking that when I did that, they were around my neck. But in the military, you had these straps on your jackets, and you hung them from your jacket. I don't even remember what that was about. I just remember having those. Of the words wreath and chains, Rashi wrote that the chains passed through the two rings at the top of the breastplate, one on the right and one on the left, close to the neck, directly opposite the ephod. The Suda wrote, here Scripture mentions them again with the usual variation of form in order to indicate specifically that they are intended to be used in order to indicate specifically that they, I wrote that twice, specifically intended to be used for the pouch. Okay, so they go on the pouch opposite the ephod. Well, that's hard to even picture. Okay, I think we've got just enough time. 16. And made they two embroidered things, gold and two rings gold, and he gave they to the rings upon two ends the breastplate. So they made, they produced, they manufactured, they fabricated, shetay, two niche bezot, two embroidered, so that's braided gold. So that should probably have been two braidings of gold. Yeah, I think that would have made more sense. And two rings of gold. Okay. Now something was bugging me about that one. So translation, and they made two braidings of gold, let's say it that way, and two rings of gold. And they gave two rings on the two ends of the breastplate. In 28:23, it said, and you shall make on the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and you will place 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. So they didn't talk about the 2 braided things, or the 2 braidings. Of the words on the breastplate, Rashi said that the rings were placed on the corners by the neck, one on the right, one on the left, opposite. So this becomes the same thing as the previous verse somehow. Very strange. All right, I really think we don't have enough time to go on. I'd really be shoving things in there if we did. So I'm going to call it quits for today and say shalom, y'all.